At the reunion, my sister rolled her eyes and said, "She's mentally retarded. Always has been." My 11-year-old daughter shrunk into her chair. Then my grandma asked calmly, "Behind? Compared to whom?" My sister smirked. Grandma continued, "Because she's 2 years ahead in school, and the only one I've put in my will." The smirk vanished. You know what's funny? I always thought the worst thing my sister could do to me was steal my prom date in high school. Turns out I was thinking way too small. My name's Rachel, and 3 months ago, my sister called my 11-year-old daughter mentally retarded in front of our entire family. And honestly, that insult was the best thing that ever happened to us. I know that sounds crazy, but just wait. Let me back up a little. My sister Vanessa and I have never been close. She's older by 3 years, and everything's always been a competition with her. Who got better grades, who married better, whose kids were smarter. I stopped playing that game years ago, especially after I got pregnant with Emma at 22 and Vanessa made sure everyone knew she thought I'd ruined my life. Fast forward to now. Emma's 11 and brilliant. She's been skipped 2 grades because she reads college-level biology textbooks for fun. But she's also sensitive. The kind of kid who cries at sad commercials and writes poetry about clouds. So when my aunt threw this massive family reunion in Michigan, I almost didn't go. I knew Vanessa would be there with her perfect family and I was just tired of it all. But my grandmother called personally and asked me to come. And you don't say no to grandma. Do you think I should have trusted my gut and stayed home? The reunion started normally enough. Relatives I hadn't seen in years, kids running around, burgers on the grill. Vanessa was holding court at the main table, talking loudly about how both her kids had made honor roll, yet again. Emma and I were sitting nearby and I could see my daughter getting quieter and quieter. She does that when she feels out of place, just kind of folds in on herself. Then my Uncle Jerry turned to Emma and said, "So Emma, how's school going?" It was an innocent question. A nice question actually. Emma started to smile, opening her mouth to answer, when Vanessa's voice cut through the conversation. She rolled her eyes dramatically and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "She's mentally retarded. Always has been." I felt like someone had punched me in the stomach. Emma shrunk into her chair so fast it was like watching a flower wilt. Her face went bright red, and her eyes filled with tears she was desperately trying not to let fall. My incredible, brilliant baby who was being called that horrible word by her own aunt. The table went completely silent. I was gripping my fork so hard my knuckles turned white. I was about to stand up. Honestly, I don't even know what I was going to do, when I heard my grandmother's voice. "Behind," she said calmly, like she was asking about the weather. "Behind compared to whom?" Vanessa turned to Grandma with this smirk on her face. "Behind normal kids, obviously. I should tell you about my grandmother. She's 78, sharp as a tack, and spent 40 years as a real estate lawyer. She doesn't raise her voice. He doesn't need to." Grandma set down her iced tea very carefully and looked directly at Vanessa. "Because she's 2 years ahead in school," Grandma said in that same calm voice, "and the only grandchild I've put in my will." Imagine the silence that followed. The smirk slid right off Vanessa's face. "What?" she said, her voice almost a squeak. "You heard me correctly," Grandma said, picking up her tea again. "I've recently updated my estate planning. Emma is the sole beneficiary of my grandchildren's trust." Vanessa's face went from pale to red in about 3 seconds. Several relatives suddenly became very interested in their plates. My Uncle Rick started coughing like he was choking. Emma looked up at Grandma with huge eyes, confused but definitely not shrinking anymore. "You can't do that," Vanessa said, her voice getting louder. "That's not fair. I have 2 kids. More deserving?" Grandma interrupted. "Based on what criteria? Their ability to be kind? Because if so, I'm afraid they lose points for having a mother who just used a slur against their cousin at a family gathering." Vanessa stood up so fast her chair nearly fell over. "This is insane. Rachel's been poisoning you against me." "I haven't spoken to Grandma about you in months," I said quietly. It was true. "Liar." Vanessa grabbed her purse. "Mark, kids were leaving. Right now." Her husband looked mortified but stood up. Their kids, who'd actually always been nice to Emma, looked confused and embarrassed. As they headed toward the driveway, Vanessa turned back one more time. "You're all going to regret this," she said, and then she was gone. The reunion tried to continue, but everything felt different. People were whispering. My mother looked like she might cry. And Grandma just sat there calm as ever, eating her coleslaw. Later that evening, after most people had left, Grandma pulled me onto the porch. "I need you to do something for me," she said. "Anything," I replied. "Starting now, I need you to document everything. Every text from Vanessa, every comment, every interaction. Screenshots, recordings if she calls, everything. Can you do that?" I must have looked confused because she squeezed my hand. Trust me, Rachel. This isn't over. What happened today was just Vanessa losing her temper in public. What happens next will be much more calculated. A chill ran down my spine. What do you mean? Grandma smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. I mean, your sister doesn't forgive easily. So we need to be prepared. He was right, of course. Because what Vanessa did next made that scene at the reunion look like nothing. And what I discovered about why Grandma had really changed her will. That changed everything. But I'll tell you about that very soon. First, I need to know, do you think Grandma went too far? Or did Vanessa get exactly what she deserved? So after that disaster of a reunion, I thought maybe things would just blow over. Like maybe Vanessa would cool off and we'd all just avoid each other for a while. I was so naive. The first text came at 2 a.m. that same night. You're a manipulative snake. You've always been jealous of me and now you're using your kid to steal from mine. This isn't over. I screenshot it, remembering what Grandma said. Then I muted Vanessa's number and tried to go back to sleep. By morning there were 6 more messages. Each one angrier than the last. She called me every name in the book, said Emma was probably faking being smart to get attention. That last one made my blood boil, but I just kept screenshotting. Then my mom called. Rachel, honey, she said, and I could already hear the guilt trip coming. Don't you think you should talk to your sister? She's very upset. She called my daughter a slur in front of 40 people, Mom. Well, yes, but you know how Vanessa gets. She didn't mean it that way. Do you think there's a right way to mean it? Mom, I didn't do anything. Grandma made her own decision. But maybe you could talk to Grandma? Explain that Vanessa's kids deserve something too. And there was. Even my own mother was taking Vanessa's side. Story of my life, honestly. Over the next week it got worse. Vanessa started calling other family members, spinning this whole story about how I'd manipulated Grandma. My Aunt Carol called to express concern. My Uncle Jerry stopped responding to my texts. Even some cousins started acting weird on social media. But the worst part? Emma noticed. Mom, she said one night at dinner, why doesn't Aunt Vanessa like me? My heart broke. It's not about you, sweetie. It's complicated adult stuff. Is it because of what Grandma said? About the will. I hadn't realized she'd understood that part. But Tyler and Madison haven't texted me back in a week. We usually play online together. Imagine how that felt. Vanessa wasn't just coming after me, she was poisoning her own kids against Emma. I texted Grandma that night. It's getting bad. She called immediately. Come over tomorrow. Bring Emma. We need to talk. The next afternoon we sat in Grandma's living room. Emma was in the kitchen making herself a snack. I need to tell you why I changed the will, Grandma said. The real reason. I leaned forward. I'm listening. About 6 months ago I ran into Vanessa at the grocery store. She didn't see me, I was in the next aisle. But I heard her on the phone talking about Emma. My stomach dropped. What did she say? Grandma's face hardened. She said, Rachel's kid is so weird. Thank God my kids are normal. I don't know how she stands having a daughter like that. I felt sick. There was more, Grandma continued. She said Emma would probably end up a failure because she was too sensitive for the real world. She said that 6 months ago? She did. And I realized this wasn't just sibling rivalry anymore. This was cruelty. Deliberate cruelty toward a child. Grandma squeezed my hand. So I started paying attention. I noticed Vanessa never acknowledged Emma's accomplishments. At Christmas, when Emma showed her that science project she'd won an award for, what did Vanessa say? I remembered. That's nice, honey, and immediately changed the subject to Tyler's basketball game. Exactly. So I made my decision. This wasn't about punishing Vanessa. It was about protecting Emma and making sure she knew at least one person in this family saw her worth. I was crying now. But here's what you need to understand, Grandma said. Vanessa's not going to let this go. She's going to escalate. And when she does, I need you to stay calm and keep documenting everything. Why? What are you planning? She smiled. Let's just say I've been a lawyer long enough to know how to build a case. A case for what? Very soon. That was 2 weeks ago. And Grandma was right. Vanessa did escalate. Last Tuesday I got a call from Emma's school. Someone had called them with concerns about Emma's home environment. The counselor was very apologetic but said they had to follow protocol. Do I need to tell you who made that call? The questions were horrible. Was Emma eating properly? Did she have clean clothes? Was I monitoring her mental health? I answered everything calmly, but inside I was furious. The counselor seemed satisfied and even said Emma was one of their best students. But the fact that Vanessa had stooped that low? I screenshot the school's number from my call log and sent it to Grandma with one word, her. Grandma called back immediately. Did they find anything concerning? Of course not. Emma's fine. Good. Forward me any documentation from the school. Grandma, what exactly are you planning? Trust me, sweetheart. Just a little longer. That was 3 days ago. This morning I got a text from my mother. Family dinner at my house Sunday. Everyone's coming. Grandma insists you and Emma be there. I had a bad feeling about this. A really bad feeling. But I texted back, we'll be there. Because whatever Grandma had planned, it was about to happen. And honestly, after everything Vanessa had put us through, I couldn't wait to see what came next. What do you think Grandma's planning? Because knowing her, it's going to be good. Sunday came faster than I expected. I spent the whole morning trying to figure out what to wear, which is ridiculous. It was just family dinner. But I knew this wasn't going to be just anything. Emma was quiet on the drive over. Do I have to go? She asked. Grandma really wants us there, sweetie. When we pulled up to my mom's house, the driveway was completely packed. Vanessa's car, my Uncle Jerry's, my Aunt Carol's. Everyone was there. Why is everyone here? Emma asked. Good question. We walked in and the living room was full. Vanessa was on the couch with Mark and the kids. My mom was nervously arranging cookies. Various relatives were scattered around. And Grandma was sitting in the armchair by the window looking calm as ever. I found 2 seats near the back and pulled Emma close. What's going on? I whispered to my cousin Lisa. No idea, she whispered back. Your grandma called everyone and said it was important. Grandma stood up and the room went quiet. Thank you all for coming, she said. I know this is unusual, but there's something I need to address with the family. Vanessa crossed her arms, that familiar smirk on her face. She thought Grandma was going to apologize. I could see it. As some of you know, Grandma continued, there was an incident at the reunion. And since then there's been some tension. Tension. Vanessa spoke up. More like Rachel manipulated you into cutting my kids out of your will. I haven't cut anyone out, Grandma said calmly. I simply allocated my estate according to my wishes. Based on lies. Actually, Grandma said, and there was steel in her voice now, based on 6 months of observation. And recent events have only confirmed I was right. She pulled out a folder from beside her chair. My heart started racing. For instance, Grandma continued, the anonymous call made to Emma's school last week, expressing false concerns about neglect. The room went dead silent. Vanessa's face went pale. I don't know what you're talking about. Really? Because the school has caller ID. And the principal, who happens to be an old colleague of mine, was kind enough to provide the number. Oh my God. Grandma had been on the school board. I'd completely forgotten. That's, Vanessa started. Your cell phone number, Grandma finished. Would you like me to read it out loud? Do you think Vanessa saw this coming? Because the look on her face said absolutely not. You can't prove anything, Vanessa said, her voice shaking. I can actually. But that's not even the interesting part. Grandma pulled out another paper. The interesting part is what I found when I had my lawyer look into something. What are you talking about? My mother asked nervously. Grandma looked at Vanessa. 5 years ago when your father passed away, he left a college fund for all his grandchildren. Equal amounts. Do you remember, Vanessa? Vanessa's face went from pale to gray. Tyler turned 16 last year, didn't he? Old enough to access his fund for college. So what? Vanessa snapped. So the fund is empty. Completely empty. It was withdrawn last October and deposited into an account under your name. The room erupted. My Uncle Jerry stood up. What? That was for college. And according to Tyler's college counselor, Grandma continued, he doesn't know this fund exists. You told him he'd have to get scholarships because you couldn't afford tuition. Tyler stood up looking devastated. Mom? Is that true? Vanessa's mouth opened and closed. Tyler, sweetie, I can explain. Can you? Grandma asked. Can you explain why you spent your son's college fund on that Lexus in the driveway? Imagine the chaos. Tyler looked sick. Madison was crying. Mark looked like he'd been hit by a truck. Clearly he hadn't known. I tried to handle this privately, Grandma said. I called Vanessa 2 weeks ago and asked her to return the money. She hung up on me. Because you were choosing Rachel over me. Vanessa screamed. You've always loved her more. I've loved you equally, Grandma said quietly. But I can't love what you've become. My mother was crying. Several relatives looked shocked. Then Emma stood up. Grandma, she said, her voice small but clear, can I say something? Everyone turned to look at her. Of course, sweetheart, Grandma said. I don't want the money if it's going to make everyone fight, Emma said. I just want my cousins to like me again. I want Aunt Vanessa to stop being mad. The room went silent. I didn't ask for any of this, Emma continued, her voice shaking. I just wanted to answer Uncle Jerry's question about school. And then everyone got mad and now Tyler and Madison won't talk to me and she started crying and I pulled her into a hug. Tyler got up and walked over to us. Emma, he said quietly, I'm sorry. This isn't your fault. None of it is. He glared at his mother. It's hers. And then he walked out of the house. Madison followed him, crying. Mark stood up slowly, looking at Vanessa like he'd never seen her before. We'll talk about this at home, he said coldly. Then he followed his kids. Vanessa was left standing there alone with everyone staring at her. You did this, she said, pointing at Grandma. You turned everyone against me. No, sweetheart, Grandma said sadly. You did this to yourself. Vanessa grabbed her purse and ran out. Moments later we heard her car start. After she left, Grandma sat back down heavily. She suddenly looked very tired. I'm sorry you all had to see that, she said. But it needed to be said. My mother was still crying. She's still my daughter. I know, Grandma said. And that's why I'm going to give her one chance to make this right. But only one. What happened next? Well, that's where things got really interesting. Because 3 days later something happened that none of us saw coming. Not even Grandma. And it changed everything. For 3 days after that dinner nothing happened. Complete radio silence from Vanessa. No angry texts, no calls, nothing. Maybe she's actually thinking about what happened, I said to Grandma on the phone Tuesday night. Maybe, Grandma said, but she sounded skeptical. Or maybe she's planning something. Keep your guard up, Rachel. I should have listened. Wednesday afternoon I was at work when my phone rang. Unknown number. Is this Rachel Morrison? A woman's voice asked. Yes, who's this? This is Detective Sarah Chin with the Michigan State Police. I need to ask you some questions about your grandmother, Dorothy Harper. My blood ran cold. What? Is she okay? She's fine, ma'am. But we received a report that she may be experiencing cognitive decline and is being financially exploited. The caller expressed concern that you may be manipulating her estate planning. I actually laughed. I couldn't help it. Let me guess. My sister Vanessa filed this report? I can't disclose who made the report, but I do need to follow up. It's standard procedure for elder abuse allegations. Elder abuse. Vanessa had actually reported us for elder abuse. Do you think that's the lowest someone can go? My grandmother is a retired lawyer, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. She had a cognitive evaluation done last month for her estate planning. She's completely sound. I understand this is upsetting, but I still need to conduct a wellness check. Can you provide me with her contact information? I gave her everything, then immediately called Grandma. She did what? Grandma said, and for the first time she sounded genuinely angry. She reported us for elder abuse. The police are going to call you. Let them, Grandma said. I have nothing to hide. In fact, this might be exactly what I need. What do you mean? Don't worry, sweetheart. She just made a very big mistake. 2 hours later, Detective Chin called me back. Ms. Morrison, I've completed my investigation. Your grandmother is clearly of sound mind, and there's no evidence of any exploitation. I'm closing this case. Thank you, I said, relief flooding through me. However, I should let you know that filing a false report is a serious matter. Your grandmother has requested copies of all documentation. That's her right. Grandma was building her case even bigger now. That evening I got a call from Tyler. Aunt Rachel. His voice was shaky. Can I talk to you? Of course, honey. What's wrong? It's my mom. She's been crying for 2 days, talking about how everyone's against her. Dad's barely talking to her. Madison won't come out of her room. My heart ached for him. And then today she started packing boxes. She said she's going to stay with her friend in Ohio for a while. She's leaving. She said she needs space. But Aunt Rachel, I found something. She was looking up lawyers. Lawyers who specialize in will contests. So Vanessa was planning to challenge Grandma's will legally. Of course she was. Tyler, thank you for telling me. Are you okay? Not really, he admitted. I can't believe Mom stole my college money. I can't believe she said those things about Emma. After we hung up, I called Grandma and told her everything. A will contest, Grandma said thoughtfully. Well, she's welcome to try. But Rachel, I think it's time we had another family meeting. A smaller one. You, me, Emma, and Vanessa. I'm going to give her that one chance I mentioned. Do you really think she'll take it? Honestly, probably not. But I have to try. She's still my granddaughter. The meeting was set for Friday evening at Grandma's house. Vanessa actually agreed to come, which surprised me. When we arrived, Vanessa was already there, sitting stiffly on the couch. She looked terrible, like she hadn't slept in days. Her eyes were red and puffy. Emma stayed close to me. Grandma was in her usual armchair. Thank you for coming, Vanessa, Grandma said gently. I'm only here because you said it was important, Vanessa said coldly. But her voice cracked. It is important. I want to give you a choice. Vanessa looked up. What kind of choice? You can continue down this path, fighting me legally, destroying what's left of this family. Or you can get help. Real help. I've spoken to a therapist who specializes in family dynamics. I'll pay for your sessions. All of them. Vanessa's face twisted. You think I'm crazy? I think you're hurting, Grandma said. I think you've been hurting for a long time, and instead of dealing with it, you've been lashing out. For a moment, just a moment, I saw something break in Vanessa's expression. Then her face hardened again. I don't need therapy. I need my family to stop treating me like I'm the villain. You called a child a slur, Grandma said quietly. You stole from your own son. You filed false police reports. Vanessa, what do you call that? I call that defending myself. You've all turned against me. Vanessa, you've spent our entire lives trying to prove you're better than everyone else, I said. That's not the same as being good enough. She whirled on me. You don't get it. You never had to be perfect. Mom and Dad just accepted you. But me. I had to earn every bit of approval I ever got. That's not true, Grandma said. Yes, it is. And now you're giving everything to her daughter while mine get nothing. Your children aren't getting nothing, Grandma said. But I won't reward the behavior you've modeled for them. If you want things to change, you have to change first. Vanessa wiped her eyes. And if I don't? Grandma's face was sad but firm. Then I'll see you in court. And Vanessa, I promise you won't like how that turns out. The silence stretched between us. What do you think Vanessa did? Do you think she took the help? She grabbed her purse and headed for the door. But then she stopped, her hand on the doorknob. I'm sorry, she whispered so quietly I almost didn't hear it. I'm sorry I said those things about Emma. I'm sorry about Tyler's money. I'm so sorry. And then she left. Emma looked up at me. Is Aunt Vanessa going to be okay? I don't know, baby, I said honestly. But what happened next? That was the biggest surprise of all. Because 2 weeks later something changed that none of us expected. 2 weeks passed and I didn't hear anything from Vanessa. Then on a Tuesday morning my phone rang. It was her. I almost didn't answer. Rachel. Her voice was different. Quieter. Can we talk? I'm listening, I said cautiously. I'm back from Ohio. I started seeing the therapist Grandma recommended. Dr. Patterson. I sat down. You did? Yeah. 3 times already. And she helped me understand some things about why I've been such a terrible sister. An aunt. I didn't know what to say. I called Tyler's college fund manager. I'm putting the money back. All of it. I have to sell the Lexus, but I'm doing it. She took a breath. I also called the school and told them the truth, that I made that report out of spite. And I called Detective Chin and apologized. I was stunned. Dr. Patterson helped me see that I've been competing with you since we were kids because I felt like Mom and Dad loved you more. And I took that out on Emma, which is unforgivable. Her voice cracked. I want to make it right. If you'll let me. Do you think I should have forgiven her right then? I need to think about it, I said. And I need to talk to Emma. I understand. But Rachel, tell Emma I'm sorry. Please. That evening I talked to Emma. Aunt Vanessa called. She apologized. She's seeing a therapist and trying to make things right. Emma looked up from her book. Does that mean she doesn't think I'm what she called me? She never should have said that, baby. What she said was wrong and cruel. Is she better now? I think she's trying to be. Would you want to see her again? If she apologizes in person? Emma thought about it. Maybe. If Grandma's there too. Smart kid. I called Grandma and told her everything. I knew there was still good in her, Grandma said. Why don't we have a small gathering this weekend? Just family. Let Vanessa apologize to Emma properly. That Saturday we all gathered at Grandma's house. Vanessa looked different. Jeans, simple sweater, no makeup. She looked real. When she saw Emma, she knelt down. Emma, I owe you the biggest apology. What I said was horrible and untrue. You're one of the smartest, kindest kids I know, and I was cruel because I was jealous and unhappy with myself. Emma looked at her. Why were you jealous of me? Vanessa smiled sadly. Because you're everything I wish I'd been at your age. Confident. Kind even when people aren't kind to you. You can still be those things, Emma said simply. It's not too late. Imagine, an 11-year-old teaching her aunt about second chances. Vanessa started crying. Thank you. I don't deserve your forgiveness, but thank you. Everyone deserves a second chance, Emma said. Then she looked at Tyler and Madison. Right. Tyler nodded. Yeah. Everyone messes up sometimes. Madison hugged Emma. I missed you. And just like that, the kids were okay. Later, Grandma called for everyone's attention. I have an announcement. I've revised my will again. Vanessa's face went pale, but Grandma held up her hand. Tyler and Madison are back in equal shares with Emma. Because they deserve their grandmother's support, and what happened wasn't their fault. Thank you, Vanessa whispered. But there's a condition, Grandma continued. You continue therapy for at least a year. You make real amends. And you treat all the children in this family with love and respect. I will, Vanessa said. I promise. 3 months have passed since then. Vanessa's still in therapy. She sold the Lexus and put the money back in Tyler's fund. She and Mark are doing better. Last week, Vanessa invited us over for dinner. Just me and Emma. She'd made Emma's favorite meal, and after dinner she pulled out a photo album. Pictures of us when we were kids, she said. I want to be your sister again. The real kind. Not the competitive kind. I'd like that, I said. Emma fell asleep on the couch, and Vanessa gently put a blanket over her. She really is special, Vanessa said softly. I'm sorry it took me so long to see it. Is our family perfect now? Well, we still have awkward moments. Vanessa still sometimes slips into old patterns. But she's trying. And Emma? She's thriving. She knows she has a whole family who loves her now. Last week we had another family reunion. A redo of the disaster from months ago. This time when Uncle Jerry asked Emma about school, Vanessa spoke up. She's incredible, Vanessa said, smiling. 2 grades ahead and reading college textbooks. We're all really proud of her. Emma beamed. Me. I finally felt like my daughter was safe and loved by her whole family. So that's my story. It started with one horrible moment and ended with healing I never thought possible. Sometimes the people who hurt us most are capable of the biggest changes, if they're willing to do the work. And sometimes all it takes is one person like my grandma, refusing to accept cruelty as normal. If you've made it this far, would you consider subscribing and liking this video? It helps more than you know. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever had to set boundaries with family? Have you seen someone change like my sister did? And if everything feels too complicated to explain, that's okay. Our team would be genuinely happy to see even a simple thank you in the comments. Thank you for listening to my story. Claude is AI and can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.